A transatlantic, what's it like? And are they worth the price? Will I get sick? Will I get bored? Or will I think it's nice? Those are the questions we answer in today's show. Welcome back to My Travel Window, where we help you travel as far as you can while you can. My wife and I took our first transatlantic cruise this last year. We liked it so well that 3 months later we took a second. Our experiences were very different, and in today's episode I'm going to compare those two trips side by side. At the end, I'll give 5 suggestions for what to look for before you book your best transatlantic option. Let's start with the similarities between the two cruises. Both took place in 2022 on major cruise lines: September Enchanted Princess, December Norwegian Epic. Sizes were very similar, with the Princess ship capacity of 3,660, NCL slightly larger at 4,200. Both left from Atlantic seaports. Southampton and Lisbon shared a common stop in the Atlantic, Ponta Delgada, and both arrived in New York City. With this much alike, you might not suppose they were so different. So today I'm going to walk you through 7 different aspects of the trip to show how varied they were. For each, I'll give a star rating to both ships: itinerary, ship, price, food, entertainment, internet, and fees/surprises. Let's start with the itinerary. Unless you're on an ocean liner like the Queen Mary II, which does a non-stop transatlantic trip in 7 days, you're not going to find a sailing for under 9 days, and typically they're 10 to 15. That makes these two trips the edges of what would be typical. The NCL was 10 days, with 2 port stops, 8 sea days, or a ratio of 4 sea days to each port day. The Princess was 15 days, with 5 port stops and 10 sea days, or a ratio of 2 to 1. Neither ship was able to keep its original itinerary, however. In order to avoid some rough seas, the Princess had to sail further south. That caused us to miss our scheduled stop in Boston. But the captain got us into New York early, so effectively we traded a day in Boston for a day in New York. The final trip still came out to be a 10 to 5 split. By contrast, the Norwegian voyage had 2 issues. A port strike in Lisbon caused us to leave a day late. Add in stormy weather, and we were forced to miss both port stops, leaving us with 9 straight sea days and no ports. The Princess stops were all interesting, and the captain made the best of the weather that was given to him. I give Princess 4 stars out of 5. I give Norwegian 2. The ship. The Norwegian Epic was built in 2010. It was refurbished in 2015. By contrast, the Princess ship was built in 2020. It gives it a much newer and shinier feel. I've already done a video on my 5 loves and 5 hates of the Norwegian Epic, and I've done a separate video on 5 loves and 5 hates of a sister ship to this Princess ship. I'm going to put both of those videos up here for you to link to if you're interested. But for summary purposes, I rate the Princess as a stellar ship, still gleamingly new. The Epic, while very serviceable and even fun, has some design quirks that we found a little less appealing. So in terms of my rating of the ship, and you can go back to those other videos to get more detail, I would give the Princess 5 stars. I'd give the Norwegian 3. Price is easy. Balcony cabins per person per day, including gratuities but no extras. Princess, $127 per day. Norwegian, less than half that, $62 per day. Princess good, Norwegian great. Remember, this also takes the place of a plane trip back to the USA. Subtracting that cost would make the Norwegian almost free. Food is a major part of every cruise, but even more so when you spend a greater percentage of time on the ship. Princess is our standard. Choice, quality, and preparation are always great. But I have to admit that I think Norwegian matches them overall and perhaps beats them by a whisker. I would give them both 5 stars. I separated out the dining experience for one minor complaint. Both ships have beautiful dining venues. Main dining rooms are gorgeous and service impeccable. I would single out O'Shea's on NCL for great pub food and service, and pizza on Princess. My one knock on NCL is group tables. In the main dining room, Princess will always ask if we want to dine alone or share a table. NCL doesn't allow that option, and it's one of our favorite features. Entertainment. I'll be the first to admit that entertainment is a very subjective evaluation. The Epic had a very popular stage show, but it warned people about the language and the suggestive content of the show and said maybe you shouldn't attend if you think you'll be offended. We chose not to go. And I heard descriptions afterwards of what the show was actually like, and it was probably a good thing I didn't go. So we wouldn't have appreciated it. But those who went thought it was fantastic. In general, I thought the main theater performances on both ships were of comparable quality and offered a great value. They were tremendous shows, particularly like the Beatles on the Epic show, several shows on the Princess that were outstanding. The violinist was great, some of the solo numbers were great, really liked it. The differences came for us in entertainment in how you fill up the rest of sea days other than the main evening's entertainment. Princess easily shined here. There was a significant difference. My wife crochets. We were delighted to find Princess promotes a Knitters and Natters group. Well before our second cruise, she contacted NCL to see if she could organize a similar group on the Epic. She was told no. Princess offered dozens of free streamed shows on our stateroom TV. All shows on NCL were for purchase at $5 each. Both cruises offered trivia games, educational programs, dance classes, music programs, etc. Both had a casino we didn't use, and NCL seemed a little more robust. But Princess had a clear advantage in the variety and quality of free entertainment, and their venues were much better suited to the events and the crowds. Bottom line, we could always find enjoyable things to do on both ships. We were never bored, but sometimes we had to pay more for it on NCL or had to experience it in less than ideal surroundings. Princess gets a 5. NCL gets a 3. Before I get to the final categories, let me invite you to like and subscribe to our channel. It costs nothing, but it gets us out to a wider audience by letting YouTube know there are more people out there who like our content. If you hit the notification bell as well, it'll alert you to new episodes as they're released. Thanks in advance. Internet quality. On both of these trips, I purchased internet for select sea days. For both ships, I'm going to rank the internet as 2 stars out of 5, but for very different reasons. The Princess internet was reasonably priced and could be purchased a day at a time, but the bandwidth was poor. It was usable for email and some websites, but it was so bad that when we were in the northern regions that I asked for and received a 50% refund for the 2 days purchased there. In the south, it was at least usable. NCL was better. After my Princess experience, I purchased their unlimited premium Wi-Fi package. It was, admittedly, the best internet I've had on a cruise ship, but the price was exorbitant. $39.95 a day. But there's a kicker. You can't purchase 1 day. It has to be the remainder of the cruise. The final category is fees and surprises. Our travel agent warned us that NCL nickels and dimes its passengers, meaning add-on fees. You can see just how extensive this is in this graphic. More unexpected logistical issues came up with Norwegian as well, and their captain was much less proactive in advising us of weather issues. Overall, NCL nets a lower surprises score than Princess, which is more predictable and smoother all around. All this leads to my final ratings here. Given all this, let me give you the value proposition. A Transatlantic offers a quality cruise on an uncrowded ship with few or no kids, with great food and entertainment, a veteran passenger mix, a high staff to guest ratio, and an unmatched price. What's not to like? Having said that, here are my 5 suggestions if you're considering a transatlantic cruise. 1. Don't be nervous. The ship's not going to sink and you're not going to run out of things to do. If you view a cruise ship as a destination in itself, you will most likely love a transatlantic. As I indicated on a previous video, the passenger mix on Transatlantic is very much skewed to veteran cruisers. That's because they've discovered the secret that this is the best value in cruising. Even port people like us can learn to love the rhythm of consecutive sea days because of the food, entertainment, and service of the ship. 2. Manage expectations. I would plan on not seeing every port. Both cruises were good in the end, but out of the 8 original port stops on our 2 trips, we saw only 5 go according to schedule. Missing some is not uncommon, I discovered in talking to other passengers. Use the opportunity of sea days to explore the ship, try new things. 3. Think ahead on personal entertainment. Fortunately, we previously downloaded books and movies on our iPad and laptop, so we had a fuller range of entertainment options. We do wish we had brought some cards. If you know you're going to purchase the internet on the whole trip, do so ahead of time. On NCL, that saves more than 10%. 4. If you're a port person, consider a trip that would include some additional ports at one end of the trip or the other. This can make a big difference in the feel of the overall trip. 5. And finally, research the difference in the cruise lines. As you can see from this report, these ships had very different approaches. These differences will be more glaring on a transatlantic because you'll be spending so much time at sea. But depending on who you are, all the things that I may mark down on one cruise line might raise it in your estimation. Find a cruise line that fits you. I hope you liked this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. And check out my latest port reviews here. More port reviews coming. Until next time, safe travels.